Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is 11:38 a.m. We're now joined by Shuhaida Adam. She's a social worker at Islamic Careline, and we're going to be talking about the importance of pre-marital counselling. We do know that lots of new marriages and even older marriages do hit road bumps and lots of problems. And I think that if we now make it compulsory for our young soon to be married couples, perhaps we can avert a lot of the little problems and even the bigger problems as far as marriages are concerned. Shuhaida Adam, salamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Lovely to have you here again.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Always wonderful to be with you in Salam Media and discussing matters of such importance with our community.
Alhamdulillah. For a long while, I think you and I, we go back many years, we've touched on this over and over again. And despite that, these problems are still presenting and more deeply than ever before. I should imagine due to lots of social ills within our community. But be that as it may, let's look at the core issue on the show today. Why is premarital counseling important for couples preparing for marriage, particularly in an Islamic framework?
As we know, marriage is one of the most complex relationships that someone will engage in. Along with those complexities, it brings its own challenges. We have two people from different backgrounds, two people who are complete individuals, and we are bringing them together. So we want them to meld together, and we want them to create a relationship. And this is where pre-marriage comes in. So we bring in these two people together, and this relationship that we want them to love, and it's meant and it's intended to be the most fulfilling relationship in their current lives. And it's meant to be a relationship where their needs are met. It's meant to be something where they perhaps they will have children, and then it's meant to be an environment where they will raise the future generation. It is an environment. Marriage is one that will be one of the building blocks of our communities. So it's very complex, and it's very entrenched in society. Alhamdulillah, in the Muslim community. What we're seeing in other communities is that the institution of marriage is actually being not necessarily shunned, but people are not engaging in marriage anymore precisely because there are so many difficulties associated nowadays with marriages. So
I think, with due respect to our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, and in general, the men in our community, the one thing that I'm finding, and I'm sure you've come across it as well, is, and I shouldn't make a blanket statement here, I shouldn't generalize, but there is this perception out there is more and more marriages are breaking down because the girls are educated and way too independent, and they won't kind of, stay in that marriage for the long run. And I don't blame them if the marriage is very troubled, and if you are educated and if you are financially independent, of course, then you need to leave that relationship and go it alone. So that is one of the perceptions. You may agree or disagree, but that's what I find is very commonly discussed within our community.
No, definitely. There is that difficulty associated with the thoughts around it. And then even before people engage in marriage, a lot of what we're finding also is a lot of young men have difficult thoughts around marriage, and they are fearful to even enter into a relationship for fear automatically that the partner that they chooses will not be committed and will then want to walk away at the first sign of trouble. And then oftentimes people do attribute it to people being more educated and perhaps having a bit more financial resources, so that they believe it will make it easier for her to walk away. While the perception is there, it's not necessarily always the case. What we also find is there are so many women who are educated and who have great financial resources, and they still are in situations and marriages where they are committed, and they look the other way for so many other matters and so many situations where their rights are not being fulfilled or where they are not treated respectfully in a marriage and they're not treated well, and they still look the other way. So educated, non-educated women, women with financial resources and women without, they are often making the sacrifices for the sake of the marriage and because they want to be in that relationship. So we can't necessarily say that it's because women are more educated in these times. What we find though is that women are a lot more aware of their rights, and they are a lot more confident around what they would like to see in a relationship and what they don't want in a relationship. And when the relationship is no longer meeting their needs, they do realize that it's a situation where they have an opportunity to leave. Remember also the concept of talaq, it does exist in Islam. So it's also a woman's right to leave a relationship that is not for her. So it can be harmful. Her needs are not being met, her rights are not being fulfilled. And we find in our Muslim community, a lot more women are aware of this, and families are also aware of this. So parents do support when their daughters want to leave a relationship where their needs are not being met, their rights are not being fulfilled, where there's situations of abuse or where there's extreme incompatibility. We find that families are generally now being more supportive. So with people being educated, I think there's a sense of empowerment as well that comes with it, and it's not necessarily just having the understanding of a university degree, but being educated on Islamic rights as well, where you stand in terms of the rights, the roles and responsibilities of a man and a woman in an Islamic marriage. So there's it can be quite
very
a lot
complex. It's very complex.
Yeah, a difference in each aspect. But I think that the important thing is that we've got to come to some common understanding and agreement around where we are standing right now, and the importance of pre-marriage. And then for couples also to just make this, have an internal commitment that I'm going to try my best until we absolutely realize that this is not going to work between the two of us.
So what key topics should be addressed during Islamic, and I stress the word Islamic, pre-marital counselling should be touched on to help build a strong and healthy marriage?
Okay, so with our types of assessments, we've got two types of assessments. One is a general assessment, and one is one that is we adapted it for Islamic Careline particularly and for our Muslim couples. So particularly around Muslim couples, because most often they don't know each other really beforehand. They haven't engaged in a formal relationship beforehand. So what we want to also examine with them is their foundational understanding of a marriage. So what is their understanding of a marriage? What do they see the relationship looking like? So what is a marital relationship looking like? Then understanding also roles and responsibilities of each person according to Islamic teachings. So what is the roles of a husband and the roles and the responsibilities of a husband in a marriage, and the roles and responsibilities of a wife in a marriage? And we ask them both for explaining what's the understanding of both, so that we can have our couples come on the same page. And then we can also clarify where there's any sort of extreme misconceptions. And we have the couples talk about this together. So where there are perhaps extreme misconceptions, or there's an expression of what a person needs from their partner, then the partner has an opportunity to also clarify what their means and limits are as well. The important thing of any type of a marriage assessment is transparency. Any type of pre-marriage program, any type of pre-marriage discussion. So even when families are going to meet each other for the first time, people are doing the proposal. It's just important to have transparency from the outset, so that couples can be very much aware of, to a large extent, of what their partner is presenting. So we also look at the understanding of the nikah itself. So the nikah ceremony, what will it entail? So, the roles of the family, who are the witnesses, who arranges those things, who arranges the imam, who books the masjid. I look at that with my couples as well, the practicals around it. We look at meher. We look at, have they discussed meher yet? So in our pre-marriage assessment, they don't necessarily have to tell us what the meher is, but having a discussion around it. Is there consensus on the meher? So if the boy can't afford it at that point, is he aware of the concept of deferring and the importance of actually paying it? And realizing also that if someone doesn't fully pay their meher, it's actually, it stays on their estate. So at the end, if they pass on, then this girl has a claim to the estate. So how important it is that if you commit to a particular amount to then fulfill that claim. So we then also look at, in terms of roles and responsibility, the division of responsibility in terms of providing. So financial provision is quite important also. Who will be, how will the couple be working their finances? So today we find that with a lot of our couples, both parties are working. Many women are happily willing to contribute to the home, especially when it's a young couple and they're both starting out their careers. We find that because traditionally, Islamically, the husband is responsible for the expenses of the wife. But we find that a lot of women are waiving that right, and they are being very understanding of their future husband's limitations. So they are not necessarily making intense demands. They are willing to provide to the marital home to help the husband, to make things easier for him. And also we find that families are often willing to provide and contribute to the couple as well. This can be beforehand, before the couple even get married, by providing material items for their new home. Or sometimes we find that the girl's family even contribute to her directly. So they give her an allowance, they give her a particular amount of money. Then for that period of time, she waives that she waives that right that she's entitled to. She waives it from the husband until he is able to.
All right, Shuhaida, let's go for an ad break. When we come back, we can continue this discussion. We will have about 8 minutes left to wrap up, so please stand by.
Your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
The chaos and destruction in the Gaza Strip is beyond comprehension. Virtually everyone is displaced, hungry, and in urgent need of life-saving humanitarian support. The Al-Imdad Foundation has been working tirelessly to address the health, nutrition, and water needs of the population. Our hospital, water deliveries, and hot meal programs are made possible with your support. Your donation, big or small, is a lifeline for those in dire need. Help Gaza survive. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil, Now we're cooking.
It's a new beginning. It's a new era. Salam Media, humanitarian journalism.
Welcome back. We're talking with Shuhaida Adam from Islamic Careline. She is a social worker there, and we have had these discussions in the past, and I'm so glad that Islamic Careline is reviving this slot. So, Shuhaida, I'm going to throw a few questions at you and you can respond. I'm thinking about the roles of the two, the girls and the boys' families' involvement in this marriage, not interference, but support and involvement. I'm also thinking about, do you guys at Islamic Careline give guidance and advice regarding spirituality, shared values, spiritual goals, faith? How big a role does that play? The guy might be more spiritual than the girl. How's that going to impact on the marriage, or vice versa? And then, of course, intimacy, issues around intimacy. Would you touch on those? Are there concerns around those issues? And I know it's very, very sensitive, but it needs to be talked about.
No, definitely. All those categories and all those areas, they are one of the, they are some of the contributors to what we call the complexity of the relationship. So yes, definitely, the families play a great role in guiding the couple, in supporting the couple, but of course, like you mentioned, without that interference. So we need families also to be able to give the couple space to grow and space to also discover the world on their own. Of course, we want to be there so that we, in times of difficulty, and hopefully help them to prevent great, what we could consider, I suppose, mistakes and greater challenges. We want to be there to support them. But at the end of the day, we also want them to develop as a couple, to develop their own couple system and ecosystem. And that will have to include boundaries. So our in-laws have to have boundaries. There has to be a little bit of understanding that the couple also needs to be able to make decisions on their own and spend time on their own. And they also are going to be now growing a little bit away from the family. So they're not, the families cannot necessarily expect the couple to be always present together for every little moment. So in our assessment, we actually look at how entrenched are you with your family. We call it a family map. So it looks at how connected the family is, if it's overly connected. So this is about the family of origin that the couple comes from. If they are overly connected, or if they are very disconnected. It has a great impact also on the future relationship that these people are engaging in, that the couple will be engaging in. It's a bit of a predictor around how they will then how they will conduct themselves in relationships in the future. Then spirituality, yes, it's an important aspect. We cover it quite extensively also in both our assessments. So we look at where the couples right now, what's their understanding of spirituality versus just repetitive practice or repetitive habits around religion, rituals, yes. So we look at that also. And the aim also here is for us to increase awareness of for the couple of each other. So for them to learn about where each other is, each other's different approaches to spirituality, perhaps. We have sometimes people who are on perhaps different levels and different levels of practice, different levels of thinking around this. It helps to open the couple up, recognize where their partners are, and recognize that if there's extensive differences, it can become a bit of a conflict with the couple. It can be a challenge. So we always encourage our couples to grow together. We look also at what will be some of the demands and the commitments that they have with the community-based religious projects. So, for example, someone who's involved in perhaps Jamaat, somebody who's involved in perhaps the hustles of the community, the actual physical demands that are there and how it will impact on the couple. So the aim here is also for us to teach communication and conflict resolution skills. So for couples who have various commitments around communicating with your partner, around what this is going to mean and how your partner will then feel around it, and perhaps adapting to where sometimes it's not necessarily necessarily going to work. One person may not necessarily be able to fulfill their, perhaps they go every 3 months regularly on a particular commitment, And after they get married, their partner has particular needs around that time. So also looking at adaptability. So the aim of pre-marriage also is a preventative tool to help couples become aware of these important issues and learn about each other before they turn into major problems. And this is then where we come in with giving them also the skills that would help them navigate these particular challenges. We look at the common areas of where couples have experienced challenges in the past. So all of this is also, as much as it's designed to create understanding for couples. So we have two types of assessments, like I said earlier, for those who don't really know each other very well, and those who somewhat know each other. Perhaps they could be.
Can I just come in here, Shuhaida? A very tongue-in-cheek question, but anyway, I'm going to ask it. Have you found that whilst you were counselling couples, this premarital counselling, that they decided, oh no, we're just not suited for each other and we're going to call this whole thing off? Has that ever happened?
Yes, it actually has happened. So I must say that the assessment is not a compatibility assessment. And it's not a predictor. Both of our questionnaires, it's not predictors of future success in a relationship. But it creates great insight. And couples, perhaps then, we've had people who realize after doing this assessment that this relationship is, it's perhaps not going to be suitable for them. This type of a partner and what they are presenting. So perhaps for aspects of their personality or aspects of the needs and the expectations is not what this person is going to be meeting. Matters of the family come up as well, matters of leisure, matters of the past, matters of social behaviors in the past. For example, if there was some drug usage, if a person has had previous extramarital relationships, we do ask about those things. So we've had situations where couples have done our assessments, and they then ultimately, further down the line, the relationship, they end the marriage. So we like to think that this is a tool to support the way going forward. It highlights also what is there. So I have to say also that this one of our assessments is not just for pre-marriage, but it's also for couples who are just married and are now adapting to married life, and also couples who are going through a particular type of change in their marriages further down the line. But we can also discuss this as another show. But for our pre-marriage programs, yes, we have. Unfortunately, we've had couples who have realized that they don't want to go ahead with the marriage and they call the whole engagement off. So we also look at it as an effective tool to help you decide. Having said that, it's not a compatibility assessment. It can help you decide around this partner and what you know about them, whether this is someone that you want to pursue a relationship with. Bearing in mind also that if your relationship and your marriage also has children, this is the person who's going to be helping you raise those children and then playing a whole new role in the mother and father figure as well. So these assessments are designed to help create understanding, primes them also for receiving feedback about themselves, a little around their personality, looking at where there's extensive differences, where there's similarities we regarded as strengths. Where there's extensive differences doesn't mean that the relationship is not going to work out, but utilizing a lot of understanding and relationship skills. So like I said, the communication, the problem solving, managing stress, understanding personality differences. Those will help couples then overcome the challenges. Your earlier question around physical intimacy. So yes, it's something that we do cover. So often couples who have, of course, our Muslim couples are not engaged in any type of physical intimacy before. We go on that assumption. So we then look rather at their comfort around themselves, their body, their self-esteem, and perhaps their expectations. So we also look at just how much emotional wellness can contribute to physical intimacy and mental thoughts and how that connects to physical intimacy as well. So physical intimacy does not just start with the physical actions of that intimacy, but it is also quite around the emotional connection. And we find a lot of women also feel a very strong emotional connection to the partner that they are physically intimate with. You can almost regard it as an imprint. So the intimacy is a very important aspect that we talk about. And mutual respect mutual understanding for the couples between, opening up that communication and that comfort. And when we talk about that respect, also that confidentiality around physical intimacy. So oftentimes couples are not comfortable when people go around joking about physical intimacy, other social settings as well around their partner. So we want couples to be able to engage around that as well. And then further down the line, after they are married, we are hoping that when there are particular physical issues around intimacy, that there can be that openness and that communication, again, using the communication skills, to open that discussion around what can the couple do, because physical intimacy and physical satisfaction is an important component of a relationship as well. So having them to be a bit more confident around perhaps seeking help if there's a medical issue, if there's a psychological issue, if there's a background to some type of physical, sexual difficulty. People who have experienced sexual assault, people who have experienced rape as well. That is still there. It doesn't go away the moment people get married. So the difficulties associated with that, we are hoping that through our assessments, the couples will be able to open up that conversation. And when they are facing certain challenges, they are then able to utilize the tools and the discussions that we've had and the understanding.
Okay. I think you've answered the most important questions. Thank you indeed. We've got to wrap up. Can't wait to have you back on the show again. Keep us in your du'as, and assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It is exactly 4 after 12 o'clock. This is the mid-morning talk on Salam Media, and next we're going to be talking to a psychology graduate, and we're going to be talking depression. So stay with us.